Hello and welcome back to my part 2 of the ACCA SBL examination for the December 2024 sitting, reviewing my exclusive notes of the pre-seen information of Rodnim Events Company. My name is James and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to get access to all of my free videos, and if you'd also like a copy of my exclusive notes, click the link in the description of this video and you can download a copy yourself. I'm also delighted to say I'm affiliated and associated with Astranti, where again, if you click a link down below in the description, you can access mock papers, their free pre-seen pack, and for pure transparency as ever, if you were to actually go through and purchase anything, I'd be entitled to a small commission which goes to actually supporting the YouTube channel. So as always, a massive thank you. These will hopefully be the tips that get you those extra marks when it comes to your exam. We're going to come down to on here. So let's start to have a look at the types of events. This is where we pick up from last time, and we've already been through the introduction. Now we're moving on to the type of events and the different segments and opportunities. I'm not going to go through and tell you what a music concert is and a conference on there, but the key bits from the notes on the side are that we've got large events and small events, and the key bits underlined in red are all about where they're located, the size, duration, and also more importantly, profitability and scalability and what's prosperous in Haaland, which we can see there. The sports events and the virtual events are the ones that are growing in popularity and that are actually going to be have substantial increases in the sports events in Haaland over the last 5 years. So again, from a opportunity perspective, that if we're asked to actually say, well, Rodnim, what should they be thinking about maybe focusing on? Sports and virtual should be on your list. Virtual, it does what it says on the tin, growing in popularity and lowering costs. You're not having to travel on there. Linking this to a strategic plan now, you could actually go into sort of market development. How could they expand? And one of the areas you could link it to, you can see from my calculations on the left, is we're given the percentages of the different events, virtual, private, music on there, and I've taken the fee income that the events companies in 2003 have achieved, which was 39 billion, and then multiplied it by the percentages. If you want to note those down, I definitely have those ready to be deployed actually on the exam day for SBL, and it just showcases to you which ones are the most prosperous, the conferences, music events on there, festivals, and those are the most highest generating fee income areas. But you've got to be saying to yourself, and this is the skepticism part of the professional skills, can Rodnim actually specialise in a particular area to gain a competitive advantage? And then we have those virtual events and the sporting events, only 5 and 12%, something you should directly refer to on there. If we come back up now to the actual corporate clients on the side here, and we must tailor our services to meet the specific needs of each client. That is really, really key, but we're going to go through the clients individually. And we've touched on previously in the introduction about what type of fees are charged. Well, with those corporate clients, we always charge a fixed fee. And if it's a music conference, a music festival or a conference on there, then there is that additional variable fee income of 35 to 40% of the ticket sales in order to cover the extra costs, because the more people we have in, then the more variable income they will actually achieve, because they're going to incur more costs like staffing on there. So the Haaland events industry is dominated by corporate clients. These are focusing more on larger events, more sort of recurring business. Maintaining strong relationships is going to be absolutely key to build the rapport. In other words, the client will say, oh, Rodnim did that event for us last year. It went really well. We'll have them again back next year when we do it again. And this has been the situation for years and is not expected to change significantly in the future. And that's where we get those percentages in terms of the fee of the ticket sales. And later on in the preceding notes, we are told that the corporate clients, keep it for your notes now, are the most profitable and lucrative on there. Private clients, on the other hand, are fixed fees, not as recurring. When I read through these, I was there going, well, how many times can the same person get married was my sort of thing for it. But hey ho, it's just sort of one of those things that, you know, normally most people only get married once on there. I'm not, but I wouldn't be a very good private client for them. Public sector, though, is the interesting one for your notes on here, because Again, referring back to the introduction on page 2, it was a case of we're told that Rodnim do not actually cover any public sector clients. A massive opportunity there from a SWOT analysis point of view, and possible challenge running virtual events if they've not done so before. These are the other factors that we've just got to read between the lines as to interpreting the pre-seed materials and then balancing that with what we're told on the exam day. You'll see in my key notes on here, again, you can read the whole thing through, but I'm just going to focus on the important things. Recently, the Haaland national government has actually engaged several events management companies to run a series of virtual conferences. But we're not actually given any indication if Rodnim was actually part of this on there, which in fact, that's a bit of a silly comment because we're already told public sector clients, we don't actually have that for Rodnim. So you've got to be saying to yourself, well, why can't we get involved with that if we're part of the Rodnim team? Key point here in terms of client expectations, that all three types of clients, and this is where on the exam day, in the unseen information that we're not told about, if in Haaland they have increasing expecting events management businesses to provide creative and innovative ideas, well managed, meet the specific requirements of the client, a professional level of service throughout the events management process is also expected. In other words, if on the day you get something that doesn't sound very innovative, not very creative, the staff are actually not doing their jobs properly, not being good to the client, refer to that direct quote on there and say that it's not meeting the client expectations. We've also got on here about utilising technology to provide this expected service level, and systems and risks are on page 9. So again, it's overlapping a variety of different areas in the pre-seed materials. We then come on to the breakdown for 2003. And this is where, again, you can see it in my notes, 23% public sector in terms of revenue on there. It's hard to scale up the private clients, but we'll come on to some opportunities later that if we're stuck on private clients, why don't we just only focus on the premium private clients that have the higher margins? Again, something that you could actually add some value in your analysis. We've got to actually consider the level of service provided too, in terms of Rodnim employs temporary staff that we'll see on page number 7, sort of how bothered are they on these sort of things? You know, we're told that the client wants a really good service level, but if you're working with temporary staff who might work on one project 1 month and then not have work for another month or two, how bothered are they going to be? And then there we have as well, Rodnim and the management team need to prioritise where to allocate resources and focus on a niche and growth areas. In other words, the corporate clients, yes, they're very lucrative. Yes, it's the main sector at 73%, but it's a case of it's their dominant source of fee income, but all the big players are in there and all of the smaller players are as well. Well, that's where we come on to actual collaboration and cooperation now. Really interesting point for you to get down, that generic services are not recommended here. They must differentiate, they must provide some bespoke service. And the larger firms have actually got an advantage over a smaller firm like Rodnim. So the smaller firms have got to work out a way, and this is where larger event management businesses operate completely independently. However, the smaller businesses like Rodnim informally cooperate and collaborate with one another to strengthen their collective bargaining power and position in the market. In other words, if we band together and work together, we've got a better chance of competing against the bigger fish in the pond on there. That can work in a variety of different ways, such as you can see in the notes at the bottom here that they do this by saying, well, if one is holding a music concert and the other is sort of specialising in music concerts, they'll actually invite them to partner in, and this would be a sort of nice referral, and it would be reciprocated if another opportunity arose in the other way. And it works with the staff as well. It's a case of if one of the smaller firms is really short of staff and one of the other shorter firms has got lots of staff, they will use them, one-to-one and back and forth on that. In other words, it's better for the smaller firms to work together rather than against one another, because then they can put pressure and actually be complementary and improve a more rather competitive business. So we've got strategic alliances, joint venture agreements on there, and this is where they have access to temporary staff and casual staff and better security as well, different factors that can help them run the business more effectively. The only thing with this is, which is later on in the notes, is the two partners of Rodnim have actually said, we don't want to collaborate, we don't want to cooperate with smaller firms, we want to be independent. Again, that'll be a major opportunity that they could maybe look at those bonds and collaborations more in the future to find new revenue streams as well. So definitely worth noting that down. We'll come on to it later on in the recording. We then come on to the industry related risks now on the left hand side, and this straight away cries out for me pestle analysis. I've just highlighted on there the key titles, the key risks and possible harmful impacts. The key bits for you to get down are in the notes in red, where we've got economic factors, environmental factors, legal factors and technology factors on there. And the key bits are underlined in red about inflation levels, interest rates, weather patterns, increased awareness of environmental impact of events. In other words, I'm looking at different stakeholder groups now and then going, who is going to be affected and how can it be linked into theories and models of the SBL syllabus? We also have regulation and legislation, health and safety, data security, IT again, protection, regulation, employee rights. That's where ethics can be thrown in there, along with cybersecurity attacks and unauthorized selling of event tickets. Again, a variety of different areas, but the key bit here is if pestle came up or if some stakeholder analysis came up, you've then got to apply the scenario and those possible harmful impacts on the right hand side to your answer. That is what the market is going to be wanting you to demonstrate on there. We're just coming on now to the technological innovations now, and there are several technological innovations which, remember, we've just looked at what the clients are looking for, and this is it, directly impacting the industry in Harland. And the key ones for you to note down are the actual live streaming of events, artificial intelligence, navigation and mapping of applications, and QR codes. But the artificial intelligence, and we've got some live streaming of events there, so this is where we've got the virtual events that come into it. We're not told how many of these events that Rodnim have actually done, but in terms of AI on here, to interrogate and analyse, to identify patterns and trends, and to gain a actual competitive advantage, not currently adopted by Rodnim at the moment. We then have navigation and mapping applications. This is apps, a bit like if you're on your phone. So what if this was to fail on the day of an event? It's all well saying that reducing the need for local signage and physical venue guides, but it's a case of, well, what if something went wrong? What if on your SBL exam day there was a major event and Rodnim's actual technology did not go to plan on there? And the last bit for your notes on there, which sort of links into no paper tickets, counterfeit risk on there, is that we actually have the method of controlling access to events and when included as part of the ticket. So what if someone actually got hold of the ticket, got hold of the QR code, or if the system went down and you've got thousands of people at an event, how would we actually go about that? What if something happened on the exam day and that was actually implemented on there and we had to face it as a business? What are we going to do with those risk factors for it? And that then nicely takes us through and finishes our part 2 of the ACCA December 2024 SBL analysis. I hope you found that helpful going through these notes, and if you've downloaded a copy yourself, I hope they help you out. If you'd like a copy, click the link in the description of this video. Check out those Astranti courses and the pre-scene packs, they're definitely going to help. And be sure to subscribe because we're going to go on to part 3 now and take you through those next elements. So I'll see you soon and thank you very much.